We're going to go down memory lane here a little bit as we join Robyn Regehr, 1,070 games in the National Hockey League, Stanley Cup champion. The guy's story is absolutely amazing, and anybody watching knows it. Good morning, Riggsy. How are you?
Good. How are you, Rod?
Good. I understand that you're at a cabin in northern Saskatchewan, and my guess is you probably would have been there anyway. So self-isolation isn't a big problem for you right now. Am I right?
Yeah, all things considered with what's going on, we are very fortunate that we took off early from Calgary. My wife had the foresight to see that the schools were going to be shut down and everything that was going to be happening. So we got out of the city, came up to northern Saskatchewan, and it's actually been really good so far.
What's your take on the way things are playing out? I mean, NHL veteran of a lot of games. You got a lot of buddies still in the league. Just as a fan right now, how do you do you have any expectations of this season ending or how it might end?
Well, first of all, I really miss watching playoff hockey, and unfortunately, with the serious situation going on right now with the pandemic, that's something that we're going to have to do without for now. But my thoughts is that depending on how that all plays out, it would be nice if the NHL could finish the regular season and not play all 82 games, but somehow get it to where the teams have even number of games played, and then maybe have an abbreviated playoffs. But I think that's the best case scenario at this point.
Absolutely. But the good thing is everybody's staying positive, and it looks like it will have a good resumption. Now, I was reading your Wikipedia page today, and it's not like we didn't know, but I kind of forgot. We all knew that you're the only player in the history of the NHL of Brazilian descent. Did you ever get tired of answering that question, by the way? How were you born in Brazil? Was this a blessing or a curse that you were born in Brazil and having to answer that question for the rest of your life?
Well, how it came to be was my parents were very religious and didn't have a lot of money and wanted to travel. So a way to do that was to join MCC, so Mennonite Central Committee. So off they went to Brazil, and being young newlyweds, doing what they do, my older brother and myself showed up in Brazil. So we were both born there. And I have no problem with it whatsoever. We actually also traveled to Indonesia shortly after we finished off our time in Brazil, and I had some really, really funny things happen to me, Rod, throughout my career. I had people come up to me numerous places and start speaking Portuguese to me as they saw I was born there in Brazil, but I said, I was 9 months old when our family moved back to Saskatchewan before we took off to Indonesia. So I didn't pick up any Portuguese.
No, and then moved to Regehr when you were 7, I believe, and your dad became the ice maker there. I mean, I had forgotten all these things. But by the way, there were some good WHL players of Portuguese descent, one being Andrew de Souza, former captain of the Pats. So, I mean, there's becoming more hockey players, Riggsy. But did you ever get tired of telling the story? I'm sure you haven't told it for a while now, but in your career, you must have been asked about it all the time.
Not really, because it was really interesting, and it also was really enjoyable for our entire family, for us to be able to have those type of experiences and travel and see a lot different parts of the world, especially for us kids at an early age. I think was just a phenomenal experience, and I didn't truly appreciate it till later on in life, but I loved it that my parents were adventurous and took off and took us to all these interesting places.
Good. Well, it is an unbelievable story, and I think just having the distinction of the only NHL player ever from Brazil is cool in and of itself. Here's a great question from Jeremy Knight. He's watching in Toronto. He says, how did Darryl Sutter's coaching style change for you for when you were with the Flames to winning the Cup with him later in Los Angeles? That is a heck of a question from Jeremy. How would you answer that, Robyn?
Well, Jeremy, I don't believe the fundamentals of what Darryl believed in Calgary and Los Angeles changed a lot. In that, he he still felt that our teams had to play to a very strong identity, and the identity is that we were hard to play against. So physical, we were very strong defensively, and we went in and tried to wear teams down. Where I think Darryl changed a little bit was, kind of his attitude or approach. I think had softened a little bit in that he was a little more harder edged in Calgary. But that's a slippery slope, because usually you can get a couple of years out of a team and guys before they stop listening to you. And I think he softened a little bit that way and evolved a little bit, but he was still pretty firm in those fundamental beliefs
that Darryl wanted on to go to war with. What was the connection that you two had that worked so well?
Well, I found for me personally that I played better on teams with a very defined structure in their systems, and Darryl was that. He said, "This is the way we're going to play, and if you don't, you're not playing, or you're not going to be around." And I really like that defined structure. And I found, when I went to Buffalo, it was a lot more difficult for me to play under, kind of a more freewheeling system that we had there under Lindy Ruff. So for me personally, I felt more comfortable. I had more success in that system under Darryl. And then also in LA, they were missing a veteran defenseman in Willie Mitchell in 2013, who was out with a major knee injury, and Darryl felt that they needed a veteran on the left side to kind of step in for as long as needed, and that's a big reason why he was banging on Dean Lombardi, the general manager's door, to make a trade for me out of Buffalo.
Not everybody's career has the storybook ending, but yours did, of course, and Dustin Brown handing you the Stanley Cup, first guy that he handed it to in 2014. Robyn, do you think about that much anymore? What did that feel like that night?
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling, Rod, because so many things went into that. It first of all took me 10 years after falling short in Calgary in 2004. We got within one goal of winning the Stanley Cup, and how things went down with the Marty Jonah no goal call in Game 6 and losing in Game 7. It was extremely heartbreaking. But I was a young player at that time, and I thought, oh, we have a good team. We'll get right back there. Well, we lost the next season completely to the lockout, and we after that we lost in the first round, I believe, the next 3 or 4 years. So it took me 10 years to be on a team that even got back to the Stanley Cup Finals. And even though I got injured with a pretty significant knee injury in round 2, for me, the reason I went out to Los Angeles was just to be part of a championship team. And I was very fortunate for that. And if you remember how it started, was we actually went down 0-3 to San Jose. And we were one of only 4 teams in NHL history to battle back from a 3-game deficit. And it just kind of, the momentum built from there. And, for me to come out on the ice and get that cup from Dustin and have my parents and family in the stands to share it with was an amazing feeling. Probably the only way I could say thank you for them having to get up all those early mornings to drive me to the rink, to have to work bingos for fundraising and all that stuff that parents do, and really are very I was very thankful for it, and to be able to share that moment with them and that experience with them just felt tremendous, because I wanted to help give back to them.
Yeah, it's a great story, and who doesn't love a great story? There's enough bad stories out there. That's why I wanted to bring it up. But was it 2014 or 2012 that the Kings were the 8th seed and won the Stanley Cup? Was that the first cup with Darryl or the second?
So 2012 was their first cup, and that was when they limped into the playoffs and then just went through everyone like a buzzsaw, and that was their first Stanley Cup. And then 2013 was the lockout shortened season that next year, and then I was traded there. We lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in the Western Conference Final in 2013, and then 2014 was the year we ended up winning it.
Right. Now, here's a perfect segue. Richard writes in and says, Robyn, was Outlaws your favorite club in Calgary? But I got to tell a story. Robyn is a huge Rider fan, and 2009 Grey Cup, if you recall, Riggsy, you guys were leaving the night before Riderville opened. So we had our own Riderville at the back alley. And Shad Ricky, who listens every single day from Brandon, he's your biggest fan, was with us. And we had our own Riderville. And of course, that Grey Cup didn't end too well. But can you explain your love of the green and white and what memories you have of it? And I'll finish that by saying, have you been to a game in the new stadium, by the way, because it's pretty amazing.
Well, first of all, Outlaws was not my favorite place to go. As you alluded to, Rod, we enjoyed the back alley with the loud rock music and such. But I love the Riders. Always cheered for the Riders, and actually had some really enjoyable experiences when we played the outdoor game. I believe in 2011, the Heritage Classic in McMahon Stadium. I actually had a really nice Rider hat that I was wearing for our outdoor practice, and kind of trying to represent the team and also our province in a positive way. Unfortunately, I have not been to the new stadium yet to watch a game, but I always cheer for them, continue to do so, and even when they come to Calgary. And we actually live right near McMahon Stadium, so I do take the boys over, and when we enjoy watching some good CFL football.
Well, you're raising them right, Robyn, which I knew that you would. Raising them as Rider fans. Are they Rider fans, or have they been infected by the red living in Calgary?
We've got some work to do in that area, Rod. So
okay, well, right. Well, hey, you got a bucket list thing to do with bringing them to Mosaic Stadium, and hey, you haven't accomplished everything. Then we got to raise them as Rider fans. Robyn, we'll let you go. A little jealous that you're enjoying the peace up there in northern Saskatchewan. It's so beautiful. But thanks for the time, and stay safe up there.
Thank you very much for having me, Rod.
All right, Robyn Regehr, NHL great, Saskatchewan great. People writing in, loving the interview with Riggsy this morning.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.